Good morning, class. Welcome to online classes of SSIC. Yesterday, we studied about a case study of Sri Lanka, in which we studied about the various drastic changes which took place in Sri Lanka due to the accommodation of power sharing and what kinds of problems were faced by this country due to the improper accommodation of power sharing. All these things have been properly studied by us, and for today we will study about the case study of Belgium, which had to face various problems regarding the accommodation of power sharing. So let's continue with this topic, the accommodation of power sharing in Belgium. First of all, we will have to analyze about the geographical condition of Belgium. Belgium is a country which belongs to the Europe, and it is a small country which is not larger in area, and it is not the country which is not having the diversity. As I have told you that no matter is there whether the country is big or small, diversity must prevail in all the countries. India is one of the biggest democracy of the world. It has the diversity. But in case of Sri Lanka, we have also studied about the prevailing diversity in the form of ethnic composition. Likewise, Sri Lanka, Belgium had an extreme diversity. Belgium had the neighboring countries, which were Luxembourg, France, the Netherlands, and Germany. These were the neighboring countries to which Belgium shared its border. If we talk about the capital city of this country, that was Brussels. It was the capital city of Belgium. And for your kind information, I would like to tell you that Belgium is a small country which is not larger in India than a small province of India, that is Haryana. But despite of it, it had an extreme diversity. So let's have a look for its ethnic composition. If we talk about the ethnic communities of this country, there was the existence of three communities, which were Dutch, French, and German. They were belonging to the region of, just answer me in the comment section, in which region there was the majority of the Dutch in Belgium. Whether it was Flemish or Wallonia, just answer me in the comment section. Aditya Verma, for your kind information, I would like to tell you that I have already completed this chapter and all the notes have been properly got written by you all. Flemish, very good. They belong to Flemish region of Belgium. And if we talk about the existence of this country regarding percentage, so what percentage was demarked by this community, were determined by this community of the total population? They were existing about what, in what percentage of the total population? Just answer me in the comment section. 59%. Very good. And they belong to Wallonia region. And they were existing about 40% of the total population. And if we talk about German, they were existing in a scattered manner. Means they were existing in various parts of this country and they were existing in the least number, only 1% of the total population. So it was the ethnic composition of Belgium and they were also representing the various linguistic groups. If we talk about the language which was being spoken by the Dutch, their language was Dutch language. And the French were speaking French language and German were speaking German language. So there was the existence of an extreme diversity in case of Belgium. But we talk about the capital city of this country, which was Brussels. It had an extreme diversity. That means, regarding this region, there was the existence of all communities. In case of Brussels, there was the existence of the French, of the Dutch, and the Germans. All the three communities were existing in Brussels. And if we talk about the French people, they were not extremely sound than the Dutch. But in case of Brussels, the population of the Dutch people was larger than the Dutch. They were existing about the 80% of the total population. I'm talking about Brussels, which was the capital city. 80% were belonging to 80% of the population was belonging to French community, which were socially and economically more sound than the Dutch. And it was raising the feeling of discontent among the Dutch people. Because if we talk about the whole country, they were, means Dutch people were more sound than the French. But in their own capital city, they were not as much as sound as the French were. So there was the extreme probability for the occurrence of social classes. But the Belgian government had taken various steps for the accommodation of power sharing, for ensuring the equal power sharing among all the Belgians. So let's have a look for all the steps which were taken in Belgium for the accommodation of power sharing. So, in order to ensure proper power sharing, the government of Belgium had amended its constitution for 4 times. What was the reason behind it? Because the Belgian government was completely acquainted with the importance of power sharing. It wanted to equally empower all the citizens of this country without discriminating anyone. So, on account of this reason, as per the necessity, by time to time, the constitution of Belgium got amended in Belgium, and for 4 times it got amended during the time span of 1970 to 1993. Nearly during the time span of 23 years, the constitution of Belgium got amended for 4 times. This is one of the most important questions which is frequently asked in the board examination. So please mind this answer. The first step which was taken in Belgium was reservation. In the Central Assembly, for the Dutch and the French ministers, which was the reservation of 50% for the Dutch and 50% of the French for the of the total seats. Here we can observe the statement written on this board: reservation in the Central Assembly for the Dutch and the French minister, which was the reservation of 50% of the Dutch and 50% of the French of the total seats. We got acquainted with the condition of majoritarianism, where there is not the proper accommodation of power sharing. The community which would have the rights, which would have the majority, it would completely violate the rights of the minority. So there is an extreme necessity of equal empowerment for all the citizens, keeping in view the Belgian government had decided, had amended its constitution, and after that, the 50% seats got reserved for the French ministers who were entitled for representing for all the French people of this country, whereas 50% seats in the Central Assembly got reserved for the Dutch ministers who had the liability to represent all the Dutch people of Belgium. This step was taken by the government of Belgium for equally empower all the existing people, whether they belong to French or Dutch community. But now the question is rising. As there was the existence of three communities, the Belgian government had empowered only two communities of this country. But what about the Germans? How did they get empowered for resolving all the disputes regarding various communities? The next step was taken in Belgium for the accommodation of power sharing. That was the establishment of community government. The next step, the establishment of a community government. Now we will have to understand this term. What is meant by this term? A government which is entitled to resolve all the problems, all the challenges faced by various communities of a country is known as community government. In case of Belgium, for resolving all the problems of the communities, this government was established. This government was not only for the French, the Dutch, but also for the Germans. If they were having any crisis, any problem with respect to their own community or with respect to another community, this government was entitled for abolishing such a problem, for uprooting any kind of problem existing within the communities or between the communities or among the communities. So I hope all of you have understood why such kind of a government got established in Belgium. What was the main function which had to be performed by this government? This government has only one liability to resolve all the problems regarding various communities. It had to abolish the dispute regarding the communities. So this community government got established in Belgium, and it is also very important question which is generally asked in very short questions. That what kind of government, that community government belongs to which country? Your answer must be Belgium. So this was the next step. Okay. This video is blur. Can you listen me properly? Can you listen to me properly? There may be network issue. Just try to manage. So let's have a look for the next step which was taken by the Belgian government. It was the establishment of a separate government in the city of Brussels. All of us know that the ethnic composition of the capital city, which was Brussels, was extremely diverse and complex than the whole country. If we talk about Brussels, there was the existence of all three communities, which were the French, the German, and the Dutch. So there was an extreme probability regarding the social clashes because all the communities were wanting to approve themselves as more superior than the other communities. They wanted to establish the concept of majoritarianism in order to promote the people of their own country, of their own communities. So, in order to check this process, in order to bring the equality in the society, in order to accommodate the proper sharing regarding power, the government of Belgium had taken the next step, that was the establishment of separate government. Regarding Brussels, a separate government got established, which had the liability to supervise, to administer this region in a proper manner, in order to check all kinds of socio-economic disparity among the masses, in order to bring the proper accommodation of power sharing in the city, in order to abolish all the social clashes for this city, in order to enhance the integrity of this country, a separate government got established for the city of Brussels. So I hope all of you have understood what was the necessity for the establishment of a separate government for the city of Brussels. So let's have the last step. Have a look for the last step, which was taken by the Belgium government. More powers were given to the state governments. As I have told you that Belgium adopted a federal constitution. The term federal signifies the condition of power sharing. In case of federal government system, the state governments get more functional autonomy, more in the liberty for the formulation of laws and policies. The central government of the countries which are having the complete federal constitution cannot bound the other state governments regarding all issues, regarding the formulation of laws and policies. I have told you about the Constitution of India, which is neither completely federal, not completely unitary. Due to the assimilation of some unitary elements of the Indian Constitution, by virtue of it, we can find in our own country that the central government is more powerful rather than the state governments. The state governments are entitled to take the decisions regarding the issues which are the matter, which are the subjects of concurrent and state list. But in case of Belgium, there was the existence of federal government system. In case of federalism, the state governments get more power, get more liberty than unitary government system. So, in order to enhance the pace of regional development, in order to conserve the regional diversity, in order to enhance the human resource development, the condition of federalism got empowered by the constitution amendment by the Belgium government. So after the constitutional amendment, more powers were given to the state governments. Now the question is rising that what was the cause behind it? What was the necessity to provide more power to the state governments of this country? Power sharing is extremely necessary for the development. If all the provinces, if all the provincial government will be more empowered, they will be entitled for taking frequently all the decisions if they were needed at once without the hindrance of central government. And it is also necessary for the regional development, for the conservation of regional diversity. On account of this reason, a decision was taken for the constitutional amendment in Belgium, after which the state governments got an extreme functional autonomy, got more powers regarding taxation procedure, regarding taking the decisions for various aspects. So these four steps were taken in Belgium for the proper accommodation of power sharing. And presently we consider Belgium in the form of a developed country because the proper accommodation of power sharing. But if we talk about Sri Lanka, despite of having better resources, natural resources, this country cannot be considered in the form of a developed country due to the improper power sharing. Ultimately, we can compare the case study of two taught countries that were Sri Lanka and Belgium. Which country got a success regarding power sharing? Your answer must be Belgium. Now, just ask some questions with respect to the taught content right now. My first question is, during which time span the constitution of Belgium got amended? Just answer me in the comment section. During which time span the constitution of Belgium got amended? Very good. During the time span of 1970 to 1993. Very good. The community government belonged to which country? The community government belonged to which country? Belgium. Very good. You have to tell me the name of the community which was existing in a least count in Belgium. In case of Belgium, which community was existing in the form of a least population? Very good. German. What were the neighboring countries of Belgium? What were the neighboring countries of Belgium? Just answer me. Very good. There were four neighboring countries of Belgium, which were the Netherlands, Luxembourg, France, and Germany. Very good. So, students, just get revised this chapter at your homes. And presently, you can ask me your queries, your questions you are having with respect to the content taught by me right now. Otherwise, I'm just going to finish this class. Anyone does not have any query? What about German? Deepak Yadav. For the resolution of the problems faced by German community. In Belgium, community government got established. As I have told you in today's lecture, because they had the population only 1% of the total population. So reservation policy cannot be implied regarding them. But with the help of community government, their disputes, their problems could be resolved. Is that clear? And in order to, by means of observing an extreme, a diverse ethnic composition in the city of Brussels, a separate government got established in this city. So these were the commendable steps which were taken by the Belgian government for ensuring the power sharing. In our own country, the commendable steps are taken by the constitution makers. In ninth class, we have properly studied for all these things. What were the steps which were taken in the Indian constitution for equally empower all the citizens of this country? So students, this class is finished. See you tomorrow with the remaining part of this chapter. Goodbye.